Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Digital Masters Podcast. Today we have on Kelly. She is the Director of Marketing at Summit CPA Group. And we're going to be talking about some of the barriers that she sees with other CPA firms growing their business and what the secret of their success has been. So let's get into it. Hey Kelly, thanks for being on the show today.
Hi, Steven. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, long time no talk, right?
Yeah.
So, you run marketing for, I don't know how big you are compared to everybody else out there, but I know you guys are one of the juggernauts in the industry in terms of offering accounting, CPA, virtual CFO services. And so I wanted to get your perspective to help other, accountants and CFOs and virtual CFOs on how to best market their business. So I wanted to have you on the show to talk about that.
Great.
So I just said it. You work with a lot of CPAs. You guys have a virtual CFO course that you guys have launched. I was going to say recently, but it's been out for a while now.
Yeah,
and
about a year.
so, yeah. So on a monthly basis, and I know you also talk with people on your channel. You are helping them with their marketing. So, across all the companies that you've been dealing with, what have you found is their biggest barrier to market themselves, to grow?
Yeah, I think so we are a $9 million firm. We'll hit $9 million this year. We grew from 5 million to 9 million over the last, or excuse me, about 4 million to 9 million over the last 3 years since I've been there. So it's fast growing, and we provide virtual CFO services. We have a community, a Slack community for accountants, and so you're familiar with that. In that, I have a marketing channel, and I run a monthly marketing meeting just for people who want to, firm owners, accountants who want to talk about how to market their firm and just learn from each other, get tips and advice from me, other guests that come in, and so we talk a lot about marketing, and I think that a few things hold them back. One, I would say perfectionism, that they want to. I think that a lot of times we picture like these great marketers, like um, you know, Gary Vee, Amy Porterfield, name a marketing person that you see and you think, like, if I put my content out there, or if I put something out there, it has to be like that level, right? And so I don't know if that's perfectionism, fear of failure, fear of not being um, not being that person, not being that great out of the gate. But a lot of things like that. I mean, I see that all the time where they just can't get out of the kind of almost analysis paralysis stage of like thinking through all of the things that they could be doing. Should I be doing Twitter? Should I be doing LinkedIn? Should I be doing video? Should I be doing webinars? Should I have, should I be writing articles? Should I, all of these things? And they just can't get past the idea stage.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I have noticed is that the people that have broken through, they all reference this one thing, and that they just started doing it. Like I know Octavia, she was on my podcast. She's in your group. I haven't seen her in the meetings recently, but she says the same thing. She was like, "Yeah, I just started to create the videos," and she didn't know what she was doing. She,
Yeah.
They weren't the level of quality that she wanted, but she just started to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then one other thing that's interesting about that is that other people in the group have aspired to be like Octavia, but then they get stuck because they see what she's doing now, and it's all polished and perfect.
Right.
And then they don't release their videos because they're seeing somebody else that's perfect but wasn't perfect at one point.
Yeah. I can't do that because I don't have this background like Octavia
Right.
has, right? She has this like really cool background. Or I can't do that because I hear a lot like I'm not a marketer, right? That's it. I'm not a marketer. Yeah, but we all, you can put yourself in that position, put those shoes on, put your marketing hat on, and do those things without being a marketer. I think that I don't know if it's imposter syndrome exactly, but it's something where it's like I'm not that person. A lot of accountants are afraid of getting in front of video. I think it's gotten better over the last year and a half since we've all had
Yeah.
to just deal with being on video. But that's a big piece. Like I can't do those videos like Octavia. I don't do video like that. Um, and they just can't, they can't force themselves to put their one foot in front of another and just start doing it. Um, we in our marketing meetup last week, I brought out one of my favorite quotes from Sheryl Sandberg, who said, "Done is better than perfect," and that is what I'm. It's my new motto in working with the accountants is done is better than perfect. Like, yes, your content should be good, but if you're not putting anything out there, then you're not going to make any progress. If you start putting content out there and you start seeing, I think, big things, when you start putting things out there, you see what people react to, you see what's working, what doesn't work, and you can make improvements as you go. You can learn from your mistakes, and you can learn from what you're doing well also. You may surprise yourself. Maybe you're better at marketing than you think you are. Um, really it comes down to understanding your audience and who your ideal customer is, and if you or your ideal client, and if you know what they need to learn or what they need to hear, and you're delivering that message on whatever platform it is, in whatever format it is, um, then you really can reach those people. It's just getting over the fear of starting.
Of getting, yeah. Yeah, and it was interesting because like in terms of the overwhelm, what we were observing in that meeting was we were talking a lot about all the different technologies and all the different features and the price points of all these different tools, when in reality what somebody really needs to be able to do is just create a very basic landing page. And can you get somebody to go to that page and then book a call with you or download like some sort of resource? And then once you
Right.
can do that, then worry about all the other expensive tools, because just to get started, you can get a website up and running for a few $100, and just you can have a Calendly book invite thing, or you can create a simple checklist, and then you're off and running. And then once you get that up and going, then create a little bit of content on LinkedIn, pointing people to your site, with the resources. And then the other point you made that I thought was interesting too is that it's when you talk to your customers or talk to people that you want to work for that you really get some of those interesting insights, right? Because that was an interesting insight that I learned last week, which just like I was observing that everyone was getting so caught up in all these expensive technologies, and they were really getting overwhelmed and stuck by that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
I love
that
that you brought that out, because really that is a big part of it, is just it's that analysis paralysis. Should I use this product, or should I use this product? But this product is, and they look at what we do a lot of times and say, well, Summit's using this whatever software program, so we should be using that. And I've started to say now, don't worry about what we use or what we do. I'll tell you what we use and what we do, but that doesn't mean that that's what you need to be doing. We're a $9 million firm. A lot of the firms that we're working with are well under a million, right? So they're not going to have the budget to use the tools that we're using. They don't have a team. I have a team of 4 people. They don't have that. They're most of the time one person running everything. So they shouldn't get overwhelmed with all of the options that are out there, but just start small, start where you are, and use the tools that you have there available to you.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you have a case yet, but in the community, have you seen any of the members have some good growth or explosive growth since you've started working with them?
Yeah. So our course, like you mentioned, we launched it about a year ago. It was about this time last year, and it's a pretty comprehensive course. It's 15 modules. Each module has a video that's about an hour long, so there's 15 hours right there. Each course or each module has a guide and a worksheet that goes along with it. So there's a lot of material in there. We have people who registered for the course a year ago who still haven't completed it, and we have people who register and complete it within a week or two. So it's really self-driven and totally depends on the person that's taking it. So of all of those people, we have folks like Octavia, who we've mentioned a couple times. And for anyone watching or listening to this, if you haven't seen the episode with Octavia with Steven's podcast, it's a great one. Um, but so there's folks like that who are already doing virtual CFO services, who learned a lot from it and are using that to kind of um, you know catapult themselves even further. And then we have those who are really in that stage of analysis paralysis, even with just the virtual CFO services. So we have kind of all ranges there of people who are taking it, and what their the size and their abilities are right now, and then what they've learned from it and how they've grown. So I don't have a specific example, Stephen, but I will get one for you because I think that would be great to learn from those who have completed the course and what they've been able to do with it. Actually, and we do have another. Octavia was in our podcast also, who shared her experiences, and also we had Jacob Oberlander on our podcast, who also shared his experience with the course. I think he's had some really good success, but I don't have any of those details in front of me to share.
Well, yeah. Well, I saw the video testimonial from Octavia, and she was talking you guys up quite a bit. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, so then, so we've talked about the experiences that you've seen with other CPAs going through your course and in your community. What do you guys think has been the secret to Summit's success?
That's a good question. Like I mentioned, I've been with Summit for 3 years, but Summit started as a traditional accounting firm about 20-ish years ago. And we went from, traditional brick and mortar, doing the regular accounting, billing, and tax kind of services, or billing like a traditional accounting firm and doing tax services. I think that one of the biggest keys to success is Jody, our CEO, and he's our CEO and co-founder. He's very much a visionary. So he envisioned a world 20 years ago where accountants didn't have to work, um, you know, I, whatever, 80 to 100 hours a week during tax season, and didn't have this really seasonal work, but could work around the year for clients and provide a higher level of service for clients. So not just being there when tax time came around, but being there all year round to help clients um, understand their finances and know where their company's going and feel secure in where they are. So I think that that's a big piece of it, is that visionary piece, and then being able to tell that story. So Jody is big on marketing. He is a great speaker and teacher, thought leader, and so he's done a lot of educational kind of educational endeavors. So he's written a book and he does a lot of speaking engagements. And all of those things, what he's done is helped companies understand how they can, what are the KPI, what are the metrics that they should be measuring as a company to have a better handle on their finances. And so he was able to really deliver that message well in a way that resonated really well with business owners.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And then I had him on my podcast, and I remember one of the things that we were kind of touching on here was that he started doing the blogging, and he didn't have any idea that it would work, and he
Right.
just he just he
Yeah.
just kept at it, and I think he told me he did it for like a year or two before it really paid off, and
Oh
and
yeah,
that
I'm
remind
sure.
and that reminds me
Yeah,
of
he
Octavia. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I mean he was doing all of that stuff. I mean it was Jody and Adam Adam Hale is our COO and co-founder. So it was the two of them to start out. And they were doing everything themselves, and Jody was doing that blogging. Jody is always very open to new new channels, new networks, new ways of promoting the company. So, early on, it was like we should have a blog, we should be putting out content, right? And he always like jumps on things. As a marketer, I love it because I'm like, hey, Jody, there's TikTok, we should be doing that. He's like, okay,
Yeah,
he's
that's awesome.
totally open to any new thing that's out there, and like, how can we reach more people this way? Um, so yeah, he did that himself, and I would say over the last 3 years, and we've seen almost what is that, 100%? I'm not an accountant, I'm a marketer. 100% growth over the last 3 years. And I would say a big part of that was just really dialing in our marketing strategy. A lot of our clients come from referrals. So, new clients come from clients that already know us and tell other people about us. But we've also seen a huge increase in our just organic traffic and our new clients that are coming just from finding us, finding our website. So that's through all
Yeah.
the other marketing pieces that we're doing. But we really dialed in on that over the last few years and started doing a lot more because we had the capacity to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does kind of take some vision to invest a year or two or whatever that is. Octavia said that she invested for 6 months creating videos before she got a single piece of business from it, and I just
Yeah.
kind of love that. I love
Which
that.
is 6 months is a long time. If you think about
Yeah.
it, it's like, oh, 6 months, not that big of a deal. But if you're doing something, I think she was doing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was doing 2 videos a week. Um, Whatever it is, if you're going to blog, if you're going to do a blog every single day or, once a week or whatever timeline you put on it, after like 3 months, you start getting kind of fatigued if you're not seeing any results. You look back
Yep.
and go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Is anyone paying attention to this? But she did say after 6 months, she did start to see some results of that. And now she can tie, I've heard her say, I think from every video she does, she gets like one solid lead, a sales qualified lead that comes in that knows her, has seen her stuff, is ready to like talk about seriously about the services. So yeah, I mean it does take an investment of time and a commitment to this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to see what happens. We did
Yeah.
that with video, you know very well, because you were kind of what kind of helped me see the value of video and helped me with some of that just kind of implementation. And we saw that on YouTube where we were putting stuff out there. You don't see much at the time. You don't really notice, but I'm big on keeping track of the numbers and looking over time and looking back, especially over key periods of time. So like every year at the end of the year, I like to pull all of our numbers together and look at everything and compare. And last year, from the beginning to the end of the year, we saw I can't even tell you the number. It was some crazy amount of growth on the platform because we started from with like 20 subscribers at the time. We started small, but at the end of the year, I could see a significant difference. We started seeing leads come from YouTube. We started seeing just, other results, people that were signing up for our community. And if in the moment it seems like, oh, we're only growing by like one per day, one new subscriber per day, or maybe once a week I might see a new lead that comes in from there. It seems really small, but if you collect that all throughout the year and look at that number, it really makes a huge difference over time.
Yeah, and then plus it's like I always like to point out, especially to accountants because they really focus on ROI, is that there's the revenue number which we all want to see, but there's also all the skills that you learn along the way. So I'm sure that when you look at YouTube now, it's just a different experience. Like you kind of know like the best practices and like like what moves the needle a bit, and you just don't know what those things are until you try or get some help from someone to help
Right.
accelerate that knowledge. You know.
And I was telling you last week that when we first started our podcast, we knew we wanted our podcast to be video. But when we started, whatever platform we were using, we didn't have the capability. It didn't have the capability to do it in video. So they said it was coming next quarter or something. So we started out in a certain program, and we were like, okay, we can just do podcast audio for a few months, and then it'll change. Well, then it turned into like now it's going to be 6 months from now. Now it's going to be a year from now. And so I had just started the process of putting our podcasts on YouTube as audio. It's not ideal. People don't want to go to audio and watch a video that's really not a video. But I knew at the time it was eventually going to change. I thought it was going to be sooner than it ended up being. And so we eventually switched over to a different tool for recording our podcast so that we could put it in video. So then we were able to change that. And meanwhile, we were getting some people who were learning about us on YouTube, but for me, it was more of getting the process in place. The whole team was,
Right.
we were uploading the videos. We were putting in the description, the content, the pieces that were important. We were getting that all in place, and then we eventually switched it to video. Well, then we weren't doing the thumbnails, which is important on YouTube, but I didn't know that. I hadn't done YouTube before, and so we learned from over time just how to make it better, and we can see the growth is exponential with those changes that you make. But if we had tried to start out 2 years ago where we are right now, we would have never started because it would have
It
taken
would
us
just,
forever to learn those things
yeah,
through observation, or I don't know how people think they're going to learn it, but I think I'm a big believer in just start doing it. Figure it
yeah,
out as you go.
yeah, me too. And like sometimes people look at me and they're saying, "Oh, wow, you're doing a lot of stuff," but I could show you this big long list of things that just make me like ill to know that I'm not doing them yet.
Right,
And it just,
right.
like, and so I just have to be so patient because it's just the list is actually quite long.
Yeah. There's
All
always
right,
more you can be doing for sure.
yeah. Well, from the outside, I know, at least from my perspective, I think one of the things that I've always been impressed with you guys, or you specifically, is just you're really open minded, and you also just like you just do things. So there's lots of times where I've said, "Hey, we should talk about doing this," and then yeah, then I go on to TikTok and you're already there and you've got the video. I'm like, "Oh, she already did it!" Like, dang. And that's the how it gets done, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, well, cool. So let's go into underrated, overrated. I'm gonna give you 5 words. You tell me if it's underrated, overrated, or properly rated. And if you have some additional thoughts on it, then we can. Some of these are going to be easy, but we'll do them anyways. So YouTube.
Oh, man, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? I think it's underrated in my world, in the accounting world.
Mm. Yeah, specifically because that's what I tell a lot of accountants is like a lot of people are just afraid to be on video. So seize that opportunity, right?
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how much you want me to side note on this, but we've seen significant results with YouTube driving traffic to our website. So I wouldn't have known that if we hadn't been doing it. But yeah, I mean, if you ask my kids, right, they've always loved YouTube. It's us
Yeah,
adults that
YouTube.
have to come around to learning these things.
Yeah, it's weird. My family just watches YouTube on the TV now.
Right?
TikTok.
Underrated for sure with business. Same answer. Underrated with people in business, and overrated, not overrated, but kids already get it.
Yeah. And what about LinkedIn?
I don't know. I'm on the fence about LinkedIn. I we've seen significant growth on LinkedIn also. I think LinkedIn is a great way to reach people, especially, when it comes to professionally. But I don't do it as well as you do, Steven. So I think LinkedIn is definitely underrated if people aren't doing it the way that you teach to do it. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other thing too about it is that it can be a little monotonous. Like some of the content on LinkedIn is I don't know, it's like with TikTok and YouTube, you get some really rich content. I think with LinkedIn sometimes you get it's like a little echo chamber where you have really just content creators talking to content creators. It's not as much a situation where people are going like people go to YouTube and TikTok to be entertained because there's that kind of content.
Right.
I don't know too many people that go to LinkedIn to get entertained.
Right.
So I think the content can be a little bit more boring and therefore it's a little more boring to be there, I guess.
Yeah. I will say, like in accounting, I mean, I've been sharing some videos that I'm creating for Summit's TikTok account, but I'm sharing those on my personal LinkedIn account, and I'm noticing a lot of really good results from those. So I think that it's the way that you present the content. I'm not just posting a message in text saying, "Hey, we have this upcoming webinar." I'm creating this video for TikTok, but then when you share that on LinkedIn also, it really does get people's attention because it's different from the other things that
Right,
they're
yeah.
seeing in the feed, and it's more entertaining. So, I think that I'm seeing good results from that, but also LinkedIn is hard to really do well, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's And it's becoming more crowded too. What about Instagram?
Okay, so I always okay, so I'll still say underrated, um, because I've always made the joke that when I hired my most recent marketing team member, I wanted her to do some social media, and I told her, I remember telling her in the interview, like nobody's really looking for their accountant on Instagram. Nobody's really looking for their virtual CFO or for financial advice on Instagram. But I was hiring somebody to do to do all of the things, but Instagram was one of them. And it was important to me. Part of the reason at the time, this was, a little over a year ago, was that I saw all of our marketing as we were image first. So always create an image on Instagram, and then you can, create different sizes, whatever, for other platforms. But at the time, I was very image first. So Instagram was important to me. Now I'm very video first. So I've kind of shifted into to video more than just the imagery. Um, but a year ago, when we were first promoting our course, one of the first leads for the course that we saw come in was from Instagram. And
Yeah.
that to me was really eye-opening that we think that, Instagram is for pretty pictures and, oh, I don't know. Just what you think of Instagram, these like perfect, travel pictures and product kind
Right.
of pictures. But it's kind of like you were saying, like people are on there to consume content. So you can reach your audience if you're doing it well. We're still learning to do it well on Instagram, but we've seen growth and we've seen, like I said, we've seen leads come in for our course through Instagram, which is fun to see. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
I'll say
Yeah,
underrated.
I guess in marketing in general, there's a lot of limiting beliefs. We just assume things,
Right.
and we have no idea like whether our assumptions are correct or not. Like I don't want to get like sidetracked on TikTok, but that's another example where just people think it's a
Right.
certain thing, and it's not until you go and look.
Yeah.
What about Clubhouse?
I have not explored Clubhouse at all.
Yeah, me
Um,
neither.
Jody reached out to me when kind of first was starting to come out, and he was like, "Oh, we should try this," And I just haven't crossed that bridge because it's very much, correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the feeling that Clubhouse is very much like a personal brand kind of thing. Like it's not going, it's like one person. It would be
Right. Yeah.
like whoever the face of your company or your brand is the person that is doing that
Yeah,
like kind of
agreed. And
leading the,
it doesn't scale, so it's not recorded. Like you got to show up. So I'm
yeah,
sure if you network it just right, I'm sure it works well. But like I just could never myself, I could never get into it because of I like to create the content, publish it, and know that it's gonna like
keep,
serve me and
yeah,
anybody that watches it for a long time. So
yeah, yeah. So I will say overrated for Clubhouse, but I can't really, I'm not a very good judge because I have never actually seen anything in Clubhouse
yeah,
before.
cool. Well, cool. I appreciate you being on. I know you guys have the virtual CFO course. Where's the best place that they can go to learn more about that?
Yeah, well, so since we talked a lot about YouTube and our progress there, I'd love to shout out our YouTube channel. It's Summit CPA Group. So that is a great place to learn more about us and what we do. And to learn, we have three different podcasts. All of those are on there for one particularly for business owners, one for accounting firm owners, and then one for our 401k audit side. Um, the course specifically, vcfoplaybook.summitcpa.net. That's a lot to
Cool.
say, but
I,
you will put it in your show notes, I'm sure.
yeah, I'll link to it. So if anybody wants to go
Perfect.
to those things, I'll make a nice, easy link to access that stuff.
Great.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you being on, and as always, and thank you for the insights. And I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay, bye.